When I woke the next morning, Rory was sleeping beside me, so everything was fine. I sat up in the bed, blinking at the disorganized state of the lion, sleeping upside down and half off the mattress. He still had that gauzy skirt chained around his hips. The indents were matched with other bruises now. Half his ass was on display. I got stuck looking at that for a while before wondering what I was supposed to do next. What were mornings like? Home. The last time I lived in the pen, I was a teenager. Things were different now. I blinked at the empty space of our room, a table with 4 seats, propped up by several ancient books that we'd scrounged from dumpsters to hold up the leg with the missing chunk. Crystal lanterns sitting on the counter without the crystals, for even the best crystals wouldn't last 6 years without being charged once. We didn't have anything to eat or drink. Only the commander's cottage had an indoor shower and toilet with a self-flushing system. By the looks of Rory's state, his sleep would be undisturbed for hours more. It wouldn't do for me to bring a bucket of water from the heated spring yet. So what do? Just as I decided I might as well train like normal, a sound brought my attention to the outside. I heard the voices of 2 little girls. Our cottage rested on stilts over a vat of mud. Luckily, the house was secured in the ground beneath that layer. During the rains, all of it swam. Our training field was entirely drenched in it. The difficulty of training in knee-deep mud was part of why the lions were looked at as savage beasts who sacrificed children. The saying that street kids being picked up and then thrown into a den of lions had created an image different from the rest of the regiments. It wasn't that far off from the truth, but some of us didn't like how it sounded. It's not like every member of the Lions was a kid foisted off on the regiment by parents who couldn't keep them, but some of us were, like Liony and Rory, and some of us were actively recruited from the streets, like Nanny and me. Our cottage sat at the end of a pebbled lane, the only manicured lawn and spot of green in the whole pen. It led up to the commander's home, where his daughter and wife had waited for him to come home all these years. Rory and I had been sent back and forth on numerous supply runs, but Boss had not come back once. I couldn't imagine it. Not seeing Rory for 6 years? How could the commander do that? He was a true lion. I'll never be able to outdo him. Wouldn't want to, but even if I did, I couldn't. Without Rory, what would the point in fighting even be? With both of us on the front lines, I could make quick work of any enemy. Demons weren't all that tough anyway. Most of their spells were just fire. With nothing better to do until Rory or the rest of the regiment woke up and told me what I should be doing with my life, I decided to go outside and see what the 2 little girls racing down the pebbles and shouting for all the world to hear were up to. I walked out the front door, realizing that we'd never actually closed it last night. Anyone could have walked in on us. If they'd had a crystal light, then we would have been exposed. I quickly shut the door. Rory didn't want anyone to know about us. He thought it was against the rules, but I knew we didn't have a rule against relationships. But what mattered more was Rory's comfort, so I just went with it. Outside, there were 2 girls. One had long hair that covered her forehead with a sharp line. It was such a dark red, pooling down her entire body like a helmet and cape, that I was a bit taken aback. This was the commander's daughter, something. The other girl was the daughter of 2 of the highest-ranking lions, Vice Commander Nanny and the Lieutenant Corporal. I had never bothered to learn the kid's name. She was a mouse that knew to stay out from beneath our feet. Why would I care about either one of them anyway? The girls had lived together inside the commander's house while the mouse's parents were both stuck at war. I think Nanny had a maid who helped the commander's wife with childcare, or something. Seemed strange for 2 little girls and 2 grown women to be all that was left of this place for so long. Who would want to be stuck in all this mud, this heat, the insects and swamp monsters, all by themselves? The other lions' families had moved away when their soldiers left. It was too harsh here. What difference was there, really, from living on the dirty streets in the capital and being surrounded by boiling mud? Luckily, I didn't have to worry about things like that. Rory would always be with me, and no matter how uncomfortable the ground or how dangerous the scrub, both of us had weathered worse. Rory could take care of himself. I never had to wonder if he was safe. But Boss didn't have that same luxury. Maybe this little, ugly path of pebbles and the out-of-place shrubs that were speckled with dirt and mud were the commander's attempt to make the mud pen feel more welcoming. Hey, you two. I stepped off the porch lip, bare feet kicking up dirt.